On a night scoreboard, the clock is ticking on your portfolio, and time is running out ahead of this big Labor Day weekend. So buckle up, baby. If August was scary, September promises to be downright terrifying. It's historically the worst month of the year. Obama Boehner playing political football with each other. Helicopter Ben getting ready to shower us again with funny money. Europe's on the brink of disaster. What's it all going to mean for your money? We got the numero uno, biggest, baddest ever, Bull Bear Ultimate Smackdown in an epic battle to protect your money. America's Nightly Scoreboard, well, that starts right now. Hey, everybody, I'm Toby Smith. I'm filling in for David Asman tonight. Look, investors took a beating in August. There's no messing around here. All the major indexes were down 4 to 6%. So the question on everyone's mind is, hey, is September going to get any better? That's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to break it down for you right now. We have some of the best minds of the world in investing to give us some answers here. With us, Mark Matson, the CEO of Matson Money. Rodney Johnson's the president of HS Dent, co-author of the upcoming book, The Great Crash Ahead. I guess we know where he stands. And Peter Schiff, CEO of the brokerage firm Euro Pacific Capital. And he's the author of the little book of Bull Moves. All right, gentlemen, let's get to it. Here's the deal. If you boil this topic down to the core, right, even in weak economic data, it can be positive for stocks if investors basically are already braced for disaster. I mean, with so many bears out there, it took us all day to find one bull. Isn't the bad news priced in, guys? Come on, Mr. Matson, give me a little help here, Mark.
Hey, Tobin, I think I was a little bit mischaracterized. Although I am definitely bearish on Obamonomics here, I'm always a long-term bull. Last week was a perfect example. The market had a 17% slide off. And imagine this, at the beginning of the week, if you knew there was going to be a major hurricane, a major earthquake, Bernanke wasn't going to come out with QE3, who would have guessed that it would have gone up 8%? And the reality is, anyone that tells you they can predict where the market's going in the next 10 days or 20 days or even a month, they're lying. The market is random and unpredictable. You have to own it long term. Equity premiums only show up over 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
All right.
Stop trying to time it in the short term.
Hey, Peter, look at you. You made a living telling everybody what's going to happen. So what's going to happen here? I mean, I'm not trying to ask. Isn't this bad news?
Well, first of all, the Bears have been getting beaten up for 11 years now. So, it's a long wait for things to turn around. 11 years ago, the Dow was worth 43 ounces of gold. Now it's not even worth 7. And, if we get quantitative easing, that's bad for the economy, and it's bad for the real value of stocks. Sure, if we print enough money, prices will go up for stocks, but in real terms, in terms of gold, the value of U.S. stocks is going to continue to fall. And certainly when measured in other currencies like the Swiss franc, U.S. stocks have got nowhere to go but down. So, and investors have to understand that they need protection from inflation, from the Fed and from Obama. They're not going to get it in U.S. stocks. They're certainly not going to get it in treasuries.
All right, Peter, so we're off from the March 2000, we're up from March 2009 low. 75%, 65%.
Not in terms of gold. We made a new low.
But I don't spend money in gold.
Priced in gold.
I don't buy my groceries in gold. I buy my groceries with dollars. Come on, let's stay with it. Let's stay with it. All right, now look at Rodney. Yeah, Rodney, you're also a guy who, I know you have this book that the world's coming to an end and we have a crash. Isn't all this bad news priced in?
No, absolutely not. People keep looking and they want things to be positive. There's a bent to our minds to be positive because that's where our portfolios are. People are hoping that things go up, and that hope and change kind of knows how that got in there. People are hoping that something's going to come out that's going to make it very positive and they're going to be able to make money in the markets. And unfortunately, they're wrong. We're looking at the next several years. We don't have anything but a lot of deleveraging and difficult times to deal with as we go through the contraction of the credit bubble that we had. And so, unfortunately, it's not a pretty picture in the equity markets for quite some time.
All right, but look, guys, you look at the 800-pound gorillas in the room, right? We have the state of the Eurozone and its banks. That's one issue. Yeah. We have the state of United States and our economy. And then maybe the third one here is we have this, government disaster in Washington going on. But that bad news, we sort of went through it. We had these markets go up and up and down and up and down and up and down. Peter, if someone's going to be investing here, their 401k, their IRA, et cetera, and in September, this is sort of the crunch time, right? Because, you could make a decision. Maybe I just want to go to cash and, put my thumb in my mouth and buy gold. maybe I want to buy stock. Why wouldn't I want to buy a company like IBM that's growing its earnings, 15% a year and is selling for 10 times its earnings? I mean, there are a lot of cheap stocks.
If you've got a longer time horizon, I'd rather buy IBM than own U.S. dollars. But those aren't the only two choices in the world. I'd much rather buy stocks outside the U.S. that have better valuations, higher dividend yields, that don't have Obama to deal with, that don't have our Congress, that don't have Ben Bernanke. People have got to protect themselves from the real threats, which is massive money printing, inflation, and a U.S. economy that is never going to recover until the government does the exact opposite of what it's been doing. We need higher interest rates. We need less government. We need fewer regulations.
All right.
Unfortunately, we're not getting that. And, Tobin, you actually can buy groceries with gold. I own a bank offshore. It's Euro Pacific Bank Limited, and we're about to launch the world's first ever gold-backed MasterCard. So my clients can take their MasterCard into the supermarket and buy groceries with gold.
Well, now, see, I like it. You've been talking about that for about 10 years, Peter, so I like that. So, but what would you buy now here? I mean, what do you're a European guy. European banks, everything else is in the tank. Japan is going nowhere.
Europe is look, it's no picnic over there either, but, we are investing in a lot of countries that aren't in Europe. There's a whole world out there besides the United States and Europe. And within Europe, look at Scandinavia. Look at what's going on in Norway and Sweden. And look at Switzerland. So it's not all about the Eurozone. Look outside. Look at Australia. Just look at the north of Canada. There's a lot of opportunities up there. New Zealand. Look at Singapore. Look at Hong Kong. There are plenty of places to invest.
I get it now. Hang on, Mark. Tell me what you're buying. What would I be buying with cash in September before Peter takes all the oxygen out of the room here?
So when we did an analysis of over 10,000 portfolios, and we found today the average investor is 70% fixed in cash, only 30% in equities. If we went back 5 years ago, we'd see the exact opposite. 80% equities, only 20% in cash and fixed income. Largely from these predictions, from demographics, that the Dow was going to go to 40,000 by 1995. Obviously didn't happen. And then the reverse, everyone's predicting Armageddon because it's fashionable. The reality is, yes, you should build a globally diversified portfolio, but don't bet that U.S. is going to get tanked and only Europe is going to do well, or China, or Asia. You have to have both. We have over 45 different countries specializing in microcap stocks and high book to market value stocks. That's where the premiums are going forward. Don't get caught trying to time it.
All right, Rodney, let me read something.
And I'm going to be interested in taking some gold and trying to buy some stuff at Walmart. I'm going to see how that goes.
Don't get Schiff started on this.
Well, you can do
have
it with my credit card.
I know his credit card. God, I paying Peter Schiff every time I use my credit card. That would drive me nuts. All right, look, I'm going to read this one from Goldman Sachs out today. They said, and I quote, sort of, here we go again, solving a debt problem with more debt, which has not solved the underlying problem. Can the U.S. continue to depreciate the world's base currency? Rodney, can the U.S. continue to depreciate the world's base currency?
Well, they could, but they, of course, ruin everything, and they're not going to do it. I very much disagree with Schiff on where we're headed here, because we think you're going to see a flock to the United States. We have done everything we can to devalue the dollar. We've worked on it pretty well. You can buy things at the grocery store, as you mentioned, with U.S. dollars, but they cost more than they did a couple of years ago. We think that's about to change because people are so worried about the European banks and the Eurozone, and they should be. And where are you going to put your money? Where are big blocks of money going to go? And we believe they're going to come back here over the next couple of years as we go through the next leg down of this economy.
Peter,
because there's nowhere
why would you
for
jump
this money
out of
to
the frying
go.
pan into the fire? It makes no sense.
Yeah, Peter, let it go. But
where else
no
are you
more
going to
ads for
hide
the
money?
Yeah, Peter, what do you respond to this guy? You think we're going to heck in a handbasket? Come on, let it go.
Well, look, we're in a depression. We're going to, but a year from now, unemployment is going to be a lot higher than it is today. They might be launching QE4.
How much?
They're going to keep on printing, and they have to keep interest rates at zero. We now have so much debt that if interest rates just went up to a historically normal level, the government would have to default on the debt. All the banks would fail. We are so addicted to cheap money that we can't kick the habit. We're going to destroy the currency, and the dollar will no longer be the world's reserve currency.
Well, you can't buy
the world will go back to gold. It makes a lot more sense to have real money backing currency than nothing.
We're never going back to gold.
There's a lot of options between the dollar and gold if people want something else. But de facto, people are not going to flock to the dollar just because they don't like the euro.
All right, Mark.
No, it's because they can't stand the euro and don't trust the euro. And where are you going to go? To the yen? And you're never going to gold.
I'm telling you, why do I want to own the euro? This is a country that can't even have a currency. They don't have a common world.
Meanwhile,
why would I want to own
the euro is going up.
The
dollar is actually going down against the euro, despite all those problems.
Mark, give us some sanity here. Give me something to buy. I don't want to buy gold and put it in my sock drawer. Give me something to buy.
Why not? If you'd have done that for the last 10 years, you'd have a lot more money in that sock drawer.
I'd have a lot more socks. I know that.
Look, the reality is that I hear a lot of times that equities have been dead over the last.
Buy some Chinese stocks.
I hear a lot out there that equities have been dead for the last 10 years. It's just not true. They haven't. Microcap stocks are up 10% per year over the last 10 years.
Look at Ron Paul's portfolio.
Small value international stocks up 12%. Emerging market stocks up 15%. The problem with most investors is they're so myopically focused on which way does the Dow going to go, they don't bother to build a truly globally diversified portfolio. Yeah. You should have at least doubled your money over the last 10 years if you had a diversified portfolio.
All right, well, listen. You gentlemen all been great. We've actually solved nothing so far, so I'm going to have some of you back. All right, good. Thanks for coming out. All right, on deck, ladies and gentlemen. All righty, now will Obama swing left or right? That story tops tonight's 2-minute drill. Your most valuable panel tonight, townhall.com editor Katie Pavlich, Dow Jones New Wires columnist Al Lewis, and my friend and buddy Euro Capital CEO Peter Schiff is here. Let's fire up the clock. How about that? All right, President Barack Obama will address the country next Thursday, a week from tonight, actually. And he may be up against the first NFL game. His topic, a new jobs plan. And panel, there are plenty of things the president probably can get through this Republican-dominated House, right? You get trade deals, you got tax reform, a moratorium on regulations. Katie, now is he going to do that triangulation thing on the GOP, or is he just going to go out and try to appease his base with something that has no chance of passing?
Yeah, I doubt we're going to hear Obama not slam the GOP a few times during his job speech. But I think if the White House was smart, they would stop talking about jobs, because we all know that the government doesn't create jobs, and talk about deregulation, talk about how he's going to change regulation in the EPA, talk about how he's going to suspend the payroll tax. I mean, he needs to do the things that the government can do to deregulate the marketplace, and businesses will take care of the rest.
Amen, Katie. I would just vote for you. I'd forget those other knuckleheads. Al.
All right.
Al, what's going to go on with this speech? Is he going to try to do this thing that he can't pass? I mean, that just kills me.
Well, first of all, Obama is a very good speech giver. That's how he got where he is today.
Yeah, I don't know
Hopefully
about that.
Some of that oratory, sparks the market or does something. But frankly, the results are in, and guess what? The unemployment rate is 9.1%. We got 25 million people unemployed in this country. Not all of that is his fault, but his record on jobs is abysmal. So I just think whatever he has to say on the issue is completely irrelevant.
Peter, you were going to run for Senate one time, as I remember. What is the one thing you would want Obama to talk about that would actually stimulate job creation?
Well, maybe if he made this a resignation speech, that would help. But, one of the things that they could do, instead of talking about creating new jobs, how about if Obama stops trying to destroy the jobs that we already have?
Yes.
Yeah, getting rid of some of these regulations. I had the CEO of Gibson Guitar on my radio show today. Obama is trying to put him out of business and throw 1,200 Americans out of work because they don't like the fact that they're importing Indian wood.
All right.
I mean, the economy is weak enough as it is without having Obama sicking his dogs on our manufacturers.
All right, I'm with you. You're right. All right, let's keep going. After a series of new pro-union rules issued by the NLRB, South Carolina's Republican governor has had enough. Nikki Haley. Good for her. She reportedly reports crippling the National Labor Relations Board. She wants the lone Republican on the board to resign in protest. She calls the NLRB, quote-unquote, un-American. Big Al. Is she right?
What's more American than calling somebody un-American? Listen, Toby, you know what? You can hate the NLRB, and you can hate the unions, and you can disagree with their agendas, but this is just rhetoric, and I think it reflects poorly on her, and it just shows that she's not being all that effective in her position.
Katie, are you a hater on the NLRB too? Don't hate the player, just hate the game?
I'll be a hater on the NLRB. Look, I think there's nothing more un-American than shutting down a manufacturing plant for opening a manufacturing plant in a state that doesn't necessarily go with union jobs. I mean, what's more un-American than shutting down jobs just because you disagree with their non-union policies? I mean, I think that's really un-American there, and I think it's a brilliant, not only political move by Nikki Haley, but it's also a way for her to kind of stay clear on the ethics side of it by having someone on the Republican side step down and protest.
Peter, quickly, you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, well, it's no coincidence that the industries dominated by unions are disappearing. They're destroying their companies, and they are very un-American. They're anti-private property, anti-capitalism, free markets. I agree that the unions have been a disaster for this country, particularly for the workers.
Well said, Senator. All right, let's go. All right. A new ban went into effect today in Michigan. More than 500 bars. There's more than 500 bars in Michigan. I've been to all of them. Decided to ban any and all Michigan lawmakers from entering the premises. Thanks to a ban on smoking that left more than a few patrons unhappy. All right. Even those who don't smoke were unhappy with this thing, all right?
All these regulars are smokers. They enjoy coming in, watching the games, and drinking their beer and smoking while they're here. So I'm sure it's going to hurt a lot of businesses.
All right, Katie. Banning lawmakers going to a bar. Is that a good idea?
Hey, you know, it's costing businesses $200 million, and I say these lawmakers are getting a taste of their own medicine, and it's bipartisan, so why not? It's their property. Businesses can serve who they wish and when they wish, so more power to them.
But, Peter, you know, in New York, they ended smoking, and it hurt for, like, the first year or so. But I happen to know a few people in the bar business here in New York, and their businesses come back. You know, why get so steamy on this stuff?
Yeah, you know, I really like this concept. I just like to expand it. Let's ban politicians from the entire country.
I love it.
Now we're on to something.
Al, are you now going to jump on the bandwagon, the ban politicians? We're banning, some guys want to ban contributions, right?
I think we got to get the politicians in as many bars as we can so they can sit down, meet the people, and maybe have a few drinks, and maybe like a little inebriation would give them some better ideas. I'm down with this banning smoking thing, though. You know, I used to smoke. It was one of the hardest things I ever do to quit. And the reason why I'm such a Nazi about smokers is because I cannot walk down a sidewalk or a street without seeing somebody flicking their butts all over. Why do smokers think the world is their personal ashtray? Clean it up out there, and maybe people will be more sympathetic to your plight.
Way to go, Al. I'm with you on that, too, by the way. All right, look at here.
Fair enough.
Online analysts say daily deal sites are losing quite a bit of their luster. Groupon visits right now, for example, they were down like 50% last week from the second week in June. That would obviously peaked this year. Peter, should investors steer clear of this social commerce bubble like Groupon?
Well, I wouldn't touch these. I mean, Groupon's not even public yet, but
yeah, but they're going to do an IPO,
I think this
right?
is the new fad.
Yeah.
And the valuations are nosebleed. I wouldn't touch any of these social media stocks. You know, give them a few years and see how it shakes out, but I wouldn't go near them.
Well, Katie, one of the things on these sites is that, you know, all over the world these guys are trying to compete. Everybody's cloned them. There's like 5,000 copycats of everything going on.
Right, so I guess let the best deal win. But, I mean, you have to look at the timing of this, too. I think that it's summertime, and a lot of the deals you get on a Living Social or Groupon you have to use within a couple of days, maybe the next month or two. And summertime is when you're not necessarily in the city where you're getting the deals. So I think that maybe you shouldn't be investing in it right away because they are brand new. But I think that maybe once people get back in school, back in college, back in the workplace after a summer break, that we'll see a pickup in that again. I hope so, because I love Living Social. I think they give you a lot of really good deals.
Look, they're going to want to get an endorsement from you. Hey, Al, you know, you obviously look like a man who's at the cutting edge of all fashion and everything else. So are you buying these things from the Living Social and Groupon? I mean, you get little massages and facials and stuff for half off?
You know what? My wife is buying them, and I keep telling her, you know what this is? This is junk mail. Just because they don't put it, just because they put it online doesn't mean it's not junk mail. You know, the secret behind all of these things is that the companies that are actually advertising for the Groupons are losing money. All these promotions that people, restaurants and such are doing, they're losing money. So, you know, it's like everything else that loses money on the internet. Eventually you got to ask the question, Toby, how long can they keep losing money?
I'm with you. You know, I like the sites where you buy the existing coupons that have already been sold for like 50% lower. That one I like. All right, guys, great to have you.
Look up on volume.
All right, exactly. On deck. The Tea Party gears up for their first Romney event. Will it be the nail in the coffin for the sliding presidential candidate? And thanks to technological devices.